What's going on, everybody? Welcome back, and we're going to be doing the follow-up video with all of the first couple range trips here with the GST-9 from 80% Arms. If you don't know what it is, the GST-9 is a modular frame for your Gen 3 Glock parts kits, where you can have a 17 or a 19 length slide by removing this insert right here. Now, this is a cool design, and I know companies are already doing it, like the Zev, you got the OZ9 out there, but it's definitely that kind of next step for the frames that we are all liking to build out there. So we're going to talk about the range footage and up close, the goods, the positives, the bads on it, because there are a couple of those out there, one of them being huge. But before we go any further, a word from today's sponsor. Today's video is brought to you by Hidden Hybrid Holsters, bringing you that sweet handmade Amish leather to fulfill your needs from belts to holsters. Whether it's treating that 1911 right, tucking that new Army hand cannon into your pants, or just a little bit of leather to go with that sweet 80s mustache, check out hiddenhybridholsters.com or at the link in the description. Now, that first video came out about 2 or 3 months ago, kind of my unboxing experiences with this and what I thought about it up front. Since then, I have been just inundated with text messages, emails, IMs, comments in there about fulfillment problems. We'll get into more of that, but apparently they're catching up. But I know I've gotten messages and emails from people saying they're like 9 months behind on getting the frames they ordered, and that's just straight up a kick in the pants. Now, overall, I do like where they're going with this, but we definitely need to talk about a few things. So let's go ahead, let's check this thing out up close, and then talk about that range footage as well, and kind of go over my feelings on this and where I think they are and where I think they're going to go. So make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel, give the video a like, and definitely leave a comment down below on if you're one of the people waiting for this thing still, because I really want to know, because that's a huge customer service issue. We're going to go ahead and get into this GST-9 right now. All right, let's go ahead and start this video, and let me know if you guys like this backdrop a little bit better here. For my working men out there, you're all working men and women, you know this is a garage mat. Just a little bit easier than that gray when it comes to color editing and everything else. Let's go ahead and talk about this thing, break it down, and get into everything that's going on. From Magwell to muzzle, let's go. So nice little flared Magwell integrated into the frame, you can see right there. No real lip up in the front, but there's a nice little lip on the sides. You can kind of see it right there, which is nice because that's going to give you a little something to hold on to, a little something to get those magazines in there. While we're talking about that section, here is the 19 length insert right there, and you can see pretty much the same design. Drop a pin here, drop a pin there, slides up in there on those grooves, and you got yourself a 19 length grip. Actually very solid. They did a good job there. Texture is great. They should have ran it all the way around, because this is a lot of surface area that you could have texture on down here that they should have just done. Moving up from there, the grip feels good. It's nicely kind of undercut right up in there, as you can see. Got some nice chamfered edge right here to get your thumb up in. Instead of that kind of just little thumb divot, it's an actual entire swell right there, which is actually feeling pretty good. As far as that mag release goes, stick with the factory length one. So that's an extended one, and good God, is it extended. So stick with the factory one on that bad boy, because you're going to cause, you're going to gall up your hand, and you just don't need it. Coming back up into the back, it's got a really good beaver tail right there. It's not bad. It's plenty to get on right there. Get up in there. They did as much as they could with it, and I dig it. Coming forward, you got a nice little edge to lock off that factory slide stop, slide release. And I say factory because if you have the extended one, like the Tyrant one on there, you're probably going to end up activating it a lot on accident. I'll talk about that more in a second. So I'm going to take this off, take that light off. Going forward on that trigger guard, no double undercut, pretty standard. Got some texture on the sides and on the front. Not bad. It's pretty good. It could be a little bit bigger, you know, compared to some of the other aftermarket frames. And it's got an interesting shape there, kind of almost a little bit like the Smith & Wesson shape. Standard pick rail up there, and then we get into these Accelerator Cuts. Look how deep those things go. I mean, you can get a hold of this thing so good. Look where how high my hand is, and that's what caused me to activate that extended slide stop. Now, I love these Tyrant ones, but you can get so deep into this thing that you are really going to ride that thing and activate it if you don't really pay attention or adjust that grip. So obviously the other side is as normal. Let's go ahead, break this thing down. Oop. And we will talk about some of the things that are going on in this frame, because it's not all peaches and cream. I did have a problem. we'll talk about. And there was a cavity up in here on the first frame I got. Once I started to, Dremel this out, I noticed there was a hole opening up and it actually split all the way through here when I kind of pulled apart. That was a serious problem. Coming up into the rails right here. Let's see if I can get the light in here so you can really see it. Focus the camera for you. What you're going to see is in that area right there, that's gouging, and it is deep, and it is on both sides of that rail. So that's where the lockup is taking place with the barrel. That's not good. That is not a good sign. There's also some pretty good scarring across the tops of the rails. And then down here on the bottom edge right there, it is also doing the same kind of thing where it's really gouging into the rails. Whatever material they're using for the rails, it's soft, okay? So it's not holding up that great for the amount of rounds. The rear rails seem to be doing okay, but the front ones are definitely suffering just a little bit. Other than that, the build was very easy. The jig is very good. The polymer feels good. I've only got a few hundred rounds through it, like I said. All the parts went in there very, very smooth. Because the jig is so solid and much thicker, everything just went in there like butter from the fitment of the frame rails and everything, which right here, okay, that valley that these go down in right here, you need to really clean that out after you drill because all of the material from where you're drilling is falling in there. And it's so tight in there, if you don't blow that out or pick it out with the dental pick, that you're not going to be able to get your rails all the way down. A little tip for you guys there when you go to build this. So let's go ahead, throw this thing back together, and we'll take a good look at it one last time. And then we're going to talk about those problems. And if I would wait on this bad boy, because they're like about 8-9 months behind on fulfillment right here. So as you can see, thing's nice. It looks good. Feels good in the hand. Let's go ahead, wrap this up. All right, so let's knock this thing down. So let's push the negatives out of the way first, then we're gonna get to the good stuff. That locking block and rail combo, I don't know what's going on there. Soft metal, maybe out of tolerance, but you could see those marks in there. Not good at all. Definitely some galling going on there. Not a good thing. Hopefully they'll get that figured out. A little bit up underneath the slide as well, and I've seen a few people, other YouTubers and people online or on the forums, talking about the rail sections just being really soft and wearing out on them too. So I think that's going to be a problem. We got to remember though, this is new, and a lot of the 80% frames and things like that have had problems with the initial runs. It took Polymer a couple times to get it right, but they're doing really good now too. So the other thing, as far as like the negative thing goes, the modularity of the frame is cool, but it does seem like the pins don't always line up just perfectly to change out that grip length. Overall hasn't been an issue, but one time it did catch on the side right there and kind of started pushing the frame out, and I kind of had to really try to realign that pin a little bit. So as far as anything else that would be negative, there's not really any glaring negatives. Were there things that I would like to see a little bit different? Yeah, do the double undercut. Like, why didn't you do that? That's one of the things that everybody for Glock actually wants. As far as the rest of it goes, the grip, just carry that texture all the way around. You gave us such an area down here to get onto, but you didn't give us any texture down there on the bottom, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me because it's everywhere else. So just, do it. Now, the positive stuff, you got that full pick rail, you got those really great accelerator cuts up here that you can get deep into, so deep that you'll activate your extended slide stop if you have an extended slide stop, which don't have an extended slide stop on this, you don't need it. You also don't need the extended magazine release. The rest of the frame, angle-wise, I like it. Well, let's go ahead and talk about that range footage. So out there, you can see a little bit of a joke. I'm out there shooting, slide locking back on me. Thought maybe it was mag or something like that. Because I couldn't feel that slide stop, it was me. So you can get so deep into this thing with that accelerator cut. It's so deep in there. So you're gonna activate that slide release if it's an extended one. So once I got that figured out, I ran this thing and it was good. So it's got some positives out there. It shoots like you would expect. The angles are a little cleaner. It's got that nice kind of integrated Magwell into the grip already, which is cool. So it's solid performance-wise out there. Now let's talk about the build. Quite honestly, the jig that you use for this, a lot more solid than a lot of the other ones out there. It really was so solid, and then the included carbide bit for Dremel, and then the drill bits were very nice, and they went through that polymer and they did a super job on getting it together, making it really, really easy. As far as the rest of the build, it was super easy. It's just like anything else. If you take your time and you do it right, you're gonna have a good time. Now the section up front to remove is definitely a little bit better. Now let's go ahead and talk about one of the major problems that I had. That major problem was, this is the second frame that I've got. The first one I had to send back. I'll roll in some photos. Up in the front, there was a cavity in the polymer, and I got a hold of them over there, and they were like, hey, we need to get our engineers to take a look at that. Ship that back to them. I don't know how many other ones they checked, but they said they'd never seen it and it shouldn't happen. So they sent out this frame, and it was not the same in here. So it was really weird. There was like just a cavity right under the serial number plate on the inside there where the guide rod is. And as I was clearing that area out, I started to see a hole opening up, and I kind of was like, well, that's different. And then just kind of started to remove the material. And it was just a little bubble in there, like something kind of got in there, which was not expected. So that is definitely something to keep an eye on. But according to them, that was like a one-off, which hopefully it is, because it led to what would be catastrophic failure out there because it's split. So the second big issue right now is the fulfillment, and I don't know if they're caught up. But I've gotten emails from people and messages from people that are like 9-10 months behind right now. And that's definitely not cool. You know, they paid for a product, they wanted it, but they have been dealing with the whole thing that's going on right now, some fulfillment issues, and then they caught, they had to slow down, I'm assuming, to look at the issue that I found and sent back to them. So it's new, it's coming out. Do you want to give them a pass on that? That's totally up to you, but I would probably not be too happy if I was waiting 9 months for something either. So other than those kind of major things, definitely to keep an eye for. If you are interested in it, my honest opinion, and they did provide this frame to the channel for free, I'd wait it out. Quite honestly, I would wait it out until the first couple batches of these are out and see what pops up online, pops up in photos and the forums, and see how they're working out for people. And then you can really make that decision. And these companies make constant improvements as time goes on. Trigger companies, frame companies, polymer, all those companies make little improvements as they go, whether it's new rails or whatever, if you've seen the new ones that are shipping with the P80 stuff. So there's room for improvement and there's room for growth. So we will see how it works out for everybody over at 80% Arms. But just so you know, the good, the bad, and the ugly, that is it. Now, if you guys like this video, go ahead and hit that subscribe button for me. I know my beard is turning out to be really good and that stash is coming in really high at this point. And let me know what you think of that top-down view with that more black garage mat. And some of you out there probably noticed that because you're working men and women. That's a garage floor mat, but that gray was just a pain in the butt to color grade for some reason. It screws with my Canon camera. So if you got any tips on that, I'm not a color grader. Let me know in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, guys. I will see you all on the next one. Get out there, stay safe, stay ready, because if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. And I will see you guys on the next one.